Chapter 66. 7 days later. In the past days that Alex trained in Team Rocket Base, a lot had happened. He didn't not only train his Pokemon but had also bought and sold 6 more silver Pokemon from the black market. Alex had considered whether to buy and sell more silver Pokemon, but after long thinking, he decided against it. If someone suddenly noticed that the number of Pokemon with improved tests had increased significantly, the Hunter Guild and the Rocket Team would probably want to investigate this matter. The more often he does it, the higher the chance of him being discovered. Alex didn't want to sell any more Pokemon in the black market of this town because it was getting too risky. Alex sold 8 silver Pokemon that had to repeat the test in the last 13 days to the Hunter Guild. Although Alex wasn't sure how many silver Pokemon were sold in 13 days, it couldn't be more than 100 estimation by Alex. If you consider the 10% error rate from the talent machine, an average of 10 silver Pokemon repeated test were sold there in these 13 days. That means that Alex probably doubled the number of silver Pokemon repeated test that were sold there for the last 13 days. Regular numbers 10 turned into 18, 10 plus 8 because of Alex. If Alex had continued to sell silver Pokemon here, these statistics would have soon become extremely abnormal. And if that was the case, it wouldn't have been long before questions arise that why so many silver Pokemon that have to repeat the test were suddenly being sold. Alex didn't want to take such a risk. After Alex sold these 5 silver Pokemon for 302,000 Pokédollars in the black market, he bought the Pokemon food and training items he needed. Consumed in the 10 days. 22 energy root, 100 energy powder, 10 excellent scissor food, 10 excellent Crobat foods, 10 excellent Ralts food, 10 excellent Ditto food, 20 excellent Shieldon food, 6 Moo Moo milk, bought, 100 energy root 50,000, 30 excellent scissor food 27,000, 30 excellent Crobat food 27,000, 30 excellent Ralts food 36,000, 30 excellent Ditto food 30,000, 60 excellent Shieldon food 30,000, private training room for 10 days and training utilities 20,000. For a total of 220,000 trail points. Alex's items: Pokemon Egg Incubator, 1 Hyper Potion, 5 Super Potion, 54 Pokeball, 10 Great Balls, 3 Antidotes, 80 Energy Root, 30 excellent Scizor Food, 30 excellent Crobat Food, 30 excellent Ralts Food, 30 excellent Ditto Food, 60 excellent Shieldon Food, 359,800 trail points. 42,500 Pokédollars. Alex, who now trains 5 Pokemon every day, has no problem spending money on Pokemon food, training items, energy root, and training utilities to improve the training efficiency. Pokemon. Crobat, LV. 34. Type. Poison, Flying. Abilities. Inner Focus. Gender. Male. Potential. Shallow Gold. Moves. Absorb, Supersonic, Astonish, Bite, Wing Attack, Confuse Ray, Swift, Haze, Leech Life, Mean Look, Innate Talent Shadow Ball E, Innate Talent Fly, Innate Talent Cross Poison, TM Protect, TM Toxic, TM Sludge Bomb, TM Facade, TM Taunt. Pokemon. Scizor, LV. 33. Type. Bug, Steel. Abilities. Technician, Gender. Male, Potential. Shallow Gold, Moves. Leer, Quick Attack, Focus Energy, Double Team, Feint, Fury Cutter, Wing Attack, Agility, Slash, Razor Wind, Innate Talent Roost E, Innate Talent Metal Claw, Innate Talent Brick Break, TM Protect, TM Toxic, TM Thief, TM Facade, TM Giga Impact, TM U-Turn. Pokemon. Ralts, LV. 24. Type. Psychic Fairy. Abilities. Telepathy, Gender. Female. Potential. Deep Silver, Move. Growl, Confusion, Double Team, Teleport, Disarming Voice, Lucky Chant, Magical Leaf, Heal Pulse, Draining Kiss, Calm Mind, Innate Talent Disable E, TM Protect, TM Shadow Ball, TM Will-O-Wisp, TM Thunderbolt, TM Thunder Wave, TM Helping Hand. Pokemon. Ditto, LV. 28. Type. Normal. Abilities. Imposter, Hidden Ability. Gender. Genderless. Potential. Shallow Silver. Move. Innate Talent Transform E. Pokemon. Shieldon, LV. 12. Type. Rock, Steel. Abilities. Sturdy. Gender. Male. Potential. Shallow Gold. Move. Protect. Tackle. Taunt. Metal Sound. Innate talent Rock Polish. Innate talent Sleep Talk. Innate talent Flamethrower. In these 10 days, Ralts still couldn't evolve herself. But she was still able to learn Calm Mind, which lifted up Alex's mood. Anyone who has played the Pokemon games knows how powerful and useful the move Calm Mind is for Psychic-type Pokemon. In this world, this move is at least as powerful and helpful as it is in the games, or maybe even more. Ralts also managed to get innate talent move disabled to the expert rank. Alex and Ralts tested how much better the move on the expert rank had become, and Alex had to admit that he was impressed. Not only Ralts can now move while using it, it can now, under certain conditions, also be used against Pokemon that are of a higher level than Ralts. After a bit of testing, Alex knew the conditions under which the move will work. 1. The Pokemon must not be more than 10 levels higher than Ralts, and the move that the Pokemon is using must not be on the expert rank or at master. 2. Ralts can use the disable against expert rank move if Ralts is at the same or higher level than the opponent. These two prerequisites must be met to be able to use the disable successfully. However, after 10 days, not only Ralts but Crobat and Shieldon had also learned new moves. Crobat, who can now use Mean Look, can help Alex catch Pokemon more easily. Shieldon, who has risen 7 levels, and learned 2 new moves, can now also fight against weak Pokemon to train. Alex gave his team a satisfying look after the result of these 10 days. Although Alex wasn't able to get his 2 strongest Pokemon to the elite level before the Kanto Rookie Tournament, the improvement was good enough for him to be sure that he and his team can get a good place. 30 minutes later, Alex teleported out of Team Rocket Base. Alex, who was now an official Alliance trainer, walked in the streets of Pewter City with his Alliance Pokebelt. He noticed that most people no longer looked at him with contempt and once again felt how rotten the system of this world is. In this world, those who are not official Alliance trainers or official Alliance members are treated as 2-tier human beings and are despised by most people. That 10% of people are treated as no better than garbage. The weak and poor minority is oppressed and despised by the majority. What a broken system. Alex understood why so many people joined Team Rocket and other crime organizations. He stepped leisurely in the direction of Mt. Moon as he thought about these kinds of things. Chapter 67. Mount Moon is a mountain chain in northern Kanto, between Pewter City in the west and Cerulean City in the east. Mount Moon is known for being one of the few places where wild Clefairy can be found. Not to mention the famous frequent meteor falls. The shards of meteorites that fall here become moonstones, which is why it's named Mt. Moon. The mountain is also known for being home to Pokemon fossils. This is apparent by looking at the trainers who come here to seek valuable and rare items. But you will find many elite Pokemon in this mountain chain or the forest in front of it. That's why only the brave and powerful trainers dare to enter this mountain chain. Regular people and weak trainers have to take a detour to get to Cerulean City. For Alex, this place was like a treasure trove where you can find many valuable objects. He was not afraid to enter this relatively dangerous zone because he had prepared for most of the dangers. Food and water. He has enough food for himself and his Pokemon to last for a month. Getting lost. He had bought an expensive card that tells him exactly where he is and where the danger zones are. To be suddenly attacked by a Pokemon, no longer possible. He has Crobat, who can track down all Pokemon above the land. And Shieldon, who can track down all Pokemon below the ground. Encounter a too strong Pokemon or a trainer. As long as the trainer does not have Pokemon or the wild Pokemon itself is not a Psychic-type Pokemon that can stop Ralts' telepotion, he doesn't have to be afraid of them. A strong Psychic-type Pokemon attacks Alex. Fly away with the help of Crobat. Those were all risks for which Alex had an emergency plan. Of course, there are many other dangers, but Alex does not want to and cannot have a plan for all risks. He can only take into account the dangers that he can probably face. If he encounters new trouble, he can only adapt and prepare for it the next time. Alex, Crobat, Ralts, and Shieldon walked the path that leads deeper to this mountain range. Alex knows that he first has to cross this mountain chain and then go through a particular cave to get to Cerulean City. Crobat suddenly approached Alex and said, "One Pokemon is ahead of us." Alex was a bit confused that a Pokemon dared to walk on this path alone. Usually, trainers who are walking around here are too dangerous for normal Pokemon. He thought one of these two possibilities were most likely to occur. 1. The Pokemon was strong enough to be not afraid of regular trainers. 2. The Pokemon was still young and didn't know that this zone was dangerous. Alex, who was not afraid of a strong Pokemon, slowly walked ahead. Even if this Pokemon was too strong, Alex had plenty of opportunities to run away. As he walked in the direction of this Pokemon, he suddenly smelled a disgusting stench. This smell reminded him of Pokemon's corpses slowly rotting away. As Alex followed this smell closer, he found a deep bronze Grimer surrounded by one human and many Pokemon corpses. This Grimer was slowly pulling these corpses into his body to digest them. After Grimer digested these corpses, Alex suddenly realized that the potential of this Pokemon had increased. Pokemon. Grimer. LV. 34. Type. Poison. Abilities. Stench. Gender. Male. Potential. Shallow Silver. Moves. Poison Gas. Pound. Harden. Minimize. Disable. Sludge. Screech. Toxic. Innate Talent. Poison Jab. Alex, who saw this Grimer's potential rise as he ate those dead bodies, was a bit shocked. This is the first time he's seen a wild Pokemon increase its potential. Although it is possible to increase your potential by eating Pokemon with good potential, the amount of Pokemon you have to eat for this method is far too high to be used effectively. The items from a corpse are much more ineffective than eating Pokemon. Therefore this method is not only questionable but also relatively ineffective, especially when you consider that Pokemon food can also increase the potential of a Pokemon. Of course, only if you eat high-quality Pokemon food, what Alex bought last time, for long enough. And the higher the potential, the longer it takes to be able to increase it only with Pokemon food. For example, Ditto will be able to increase his potential to silver rank in 3 or 4 months with the help of these Pokemon foods. But Crobat has to eat these expensive Pokemon foods for many years to increase his potential on the gold rank. But this method is not available for wild Pokemon. So if these Pokemon want to get stronger, they'll have to eat Pokemon or find some other option. Alex called out Scizor from his Pokeball and said, "You can try this. Fight on your own. If you take too much damage or time, I'll send Crobat to help you." Scizor, who heard this, nodded lightly and flew in the direction of Grimer. Grimer, who mostly uses poison-type moves, shouldn't be a problem for Scizor. So Alex let him fight without any instructions. Alex and his Pokemon watched Grimer get punched like a sandbag by Scizor and felt a bit sorry for Grimer, who couldn't defend himself against a Pokemon that had a lower level than him. For normal trainers, this Grimer was a powerful and dangerous Pokemon. But for Alex, who was almost on the elite rank and owned a Steel-type Pokemon, Grimer was a weak opponent. Crobat, who watched as this Grimer was being beaten up, went to Alex and told him in sign language, "One trainer with 2 Pokemon will quickly arrive here from that direction." Alex, who heard this, declared, "We'd better end this fight quickly. Scizor, hurry up and finish it quickly. Ralts, use Confusion. And Ditto, you transform into Ralts and use Confusion too. Crobat and Shieldon try to protect us from any surprise attacks." After he said that, he looked in the direction from where Crobat had said these uninvited guests were coming from. Chapter 68. Alex's Pokemon quickly defeated Grimer. Alex caught Grimer and waited for the visitor to arrive. After only a few seconds, Alex saw the fellow. A young man with red hair and a friendly face slowly walked towards Alex and his Pokemon. There were 2 Pokemon next to the man. A LV-16 Bronze Geodude and a LV-24 Bronze Graveler. Alex, who saw how weak this trainer's Pokemon were, was a bit relieved. But still, stayed alert in case this man suddenly tried attacking him. The young man called Jerry looked at Alex and his Pokemon. After a short pause, Jerry said, "Hello friend, why are you waiting here?" Alex looked at Jerry and said coldly, "I'm taking a break." He had no interest in making friends with someone who had no talent or connections. Jerry heard Alex's tone but said with a smile, "Oh, I see. It is probably a bit rude, but I wanted to ask if you would like to have a 2vs2 match with me. I am sure that it will be advantageous for both of us to gain experiences. Oh, I forgot to introduce myself. My name is Jerry. Quote. Alex was a bit confused about why this man was so friendly even though he was so cold to him. Is it because he saw that Alex was much stronger than him? Alex nodded anyway and said, okay, we'll send out the weak Pokemon first, then the strong ones. Shieldon, are you ready for your first fight? Shieldon, who has not yet had a real fight, needs combat experience. And what better way to fight his first fight against a Pokemon who has a trainer than against a wild Pokemon against whom he is bound to win? Shieldon walked in front of Alex with an excited expression on his face and got ready to fight. Jerry sent out Geodude to fight. 3, 2, 1, go. Jerry said, Geodude, use Defense Curl. Alex said at the same time, Shieldon used Taunt and then Rock Polish. Geodude, who wanted to use the Defense Curl, suddenly felt hatred for this Shieldon. He stopped using Defense Curl and got pissed off at Shieldon. He ached to beat up that Shieldon. Geodude, use Rock Throw. Jerry was surprised that Alex could anticipate his plan. A normal trainer under the elite rank is usually not as experienced in Pokemon fighting that he is. Because they are not able to predict what their opponent is gonna do. Alex, who played the Pokemon games, knows that if Geodude wants to have a chance for winning this fight, he has to use Defense Curl and Sand Attack often enough. As long as Alex prevents these two moves, Geodude cannot do anything. Shieldon, use Flamethrowers until the enemy is defeated. Alex used Flamethrower because Geodude has a terrible SP. Def and this move can do enormous damage to Geodude even though it has the type disadvantage. This fight was over after only 1 minute. Geodude, who only had a move that could do little harm to Shieldon, made Shieldon look like a bully. Alex was a little confused about why Jerry wasn't giving up the fight. Geodude had no chance of winning, and yet Jerry let Geodude keep on fighting. He even saw Geodude giving Jerry a disdainful look. Alex, who saw this, thought, Jerry seems to be hated by his Geodude. But Jerry behaves like a very friendly person. Why does he pretend to be a friendly trainer? Is he afraid that I will play a hero when they show his true nature? Jerry's Graveler and Alex's Ralts both got ready for the second fight. Ralts used Magical Leaf, Protect and Teleport to do a lot of damage to Graveler without getting hit herself. Graveler tried using Rock Slide to quickly defeat Ralts. Both Ralts and Graveler SP, Def and HP have a poor defense, so it depends on who can hit the other faster. Ralts that can use Teleport and Protect in an emergency has an obvious advantage. Although Ralts can only use Teleport 3 times before taking a break, that number is enough to cause severe damage to Graveler. Alex, who saw that Graveler was badly injured and said, "What are you doing? Your Graveler can no longer fight." Before Jerry could answer, Crobat suddenly cried out, 5 people and 11 Pokemon are quickly coming our way. Alex, who heard this, had a dark expression on his face. Jerry, who saw Crobat and Alex talking, said with a cold expression, "Graveler, use self-destruct." Crobat and Scizor both did not wait for Alex's orders and flew towards Ralts, and both used Protect to shield Ralts from this attack. A big explosion took place with Ralts, Crobat, and Scizor right in the center of it. Alex, who saw this, knew that an LV-25 bronze Pokemon self-destruct couldn't break through the shield of Crobat and Scizor. He was a bit confused about why this man was doing this. This was not a game. As soon as self-destruct is used, the Pokemon will be seriously injured. Sometimes the Pokemon that uses this move will die if it is not given medical attention quickly enough. No sensible trainer would use this move even if it is powerful. When the explosion stopped, Alex saw Jerry fly away on a LV-22 Fearow. Alex got mad and said, "Crobat, use Mean Look and then use Fly." Alex knows that the move Mean Look has many requirements before it can be used. During the training, Alex made 2 speculations that are most likely to be true. 1. The move does not work if the target Pokemon has a higher level than the Pokemon who is using the Mean Look. That is because this move is not on expert rank. 2. The further the Pokemon is from where you are using Mean Look, the more difficult it is to use Mean Look successfully. Fearow, who had already flown a few meters, suddenly felt that a strange force was preventing him from flying further in this direction. It froze in the air. Crobat, who was more than 10 lv higher than Firo, was able to stop Firo from flying away with mean look with ease. Chapter 69. Crobat flew to Firo and used fly against it. Firo, who had its trainer on its back, couldn't avoid the attack and was hit in the head. Firo's head was severely wounded when hit by the sharp wings. It used Fury attack to damage Crobat as well. Crobat, who was upset that someone tried to hurt Ralts, didn't dodge but used fly again. Firo, who was surprised that Crobat did not dodge its attack, was hit again in the head when it hit Crobat with Fury attack. Firo, who was hit twice in a row at the same places, became unconscious. Firo started falling on the floor together with its trainer. Crobat didn't wait for Firo to fall and used Shadow Ball against Jerry, who was still on Firo's back. Jerry, who was in midair, couldn't dodge Crobat's attack and was hit perfectly. Jerry now had a soccer ball-looking wound on his stomach. His organs folded out of his stomach as he fell to the ground. Alex, who saw this, said, "Crobat, come here. We have to get out of here quickly." Even though Jerry survived that, Alex didn't want to waste any more time. Alex knows that people in this world have a much better body than his world. So even such an injury cannot necessarily kill Jerry immediately. Only if you hit the head or the neck you can kill people quickly in this world. For example, a person in this world can fall from 15 meters to the ground and would only suffer minor injuries. So Jerry won't die, probably. Well, it doesn't really matter to him right now. Alex knew that Ralts can no longer use teleport because she was exhausted due to the battle and said, "Ditto, transform yourself to Ralts and use teleport." Alex was genuinely glad that he had Ditto in such cases. Although he can escape into the air with the help of Crobat, it is not the safest method. When Alex said this, he could see 5 men and 11 different Pokémon running in their direction. Although they were still more than 100 meters away, all of these men were using flying-type Pokémon as mounts and were therefore relatively fast. Alex looked at the information about the 11 Pokémon from the group. 9 Pokémon were between levels 20 to 29, and a Zubat was at level 14. The strongest Pokémon was a Nidoking at level 34. Pokémon. Nidoking. LV. 34. Type. Poison Ground. Abilities. Poison Point. Gender. Male. Potential. Deep Silver. Moves. Leer. Peck. Focus Energy. Poison Sting. Double Kick. Horn Attack. Helping Hand. Toxic. Thrash. Innate Talent Megahorn. TM Protect. TM Sludge Bomb. TM Facade. TM Ice Beam. TM Surf. TM Flamethrower. TM Thunderbolt. After Ditto had transformed into Ralts, it used teleport immediately. While teleporting, Alex thought, the Zubat is probably used to track down trainers and dodge surprise attacks. This group is really not weak. I should avoid fighting this group directly. After only 10 seconds, 5 men with 11 different Pokémon came to the place where Jerry had fallen to the ground. The leader of this group was a thin man with a large scar on his face. His face changed to an annoyed expression when he saw Alex flee with teleport. He shouted angrily, "John, why didn't your Kadabra cancelled out the teleport of the prey?" John looked nervously at the thin man and said, "Sir, the psychic Pokémon was of a higher level than my Kadabra, so it can't disable the teleport." The leader gave him an angry look and said, "Can you at least find out where he's teleported to?" John said while looking down at the ground, "I'm sorry. We were too far away for Kadabra to find out. Now it's too late." The thin man ignored John and looked in the direction of Jerry, who had seen better days before. When this skinny man saw Jerry's bleeding body, he said, "Paul, use your Pokémon to cure this useless idiot before he dies. Didn't I tell him to only target trainers under the elite rank? Why is this idiot looking for prey that can defeat him quickly? Let's wait until he wakes up and explains the matter in more detail." Paul's Pokémon tried to heal Jerry but stopped in a few seconds. It shook its head and indicated that he was already dead. The skinny man saw that Jerry could not be saved and said, "Then we'd better go. The person who can defeat Jerry so quickly is not something we should provoke for no reason. We should instead look for prey that isn't that hard to catch." Alex, sitting under a tree 1 kilometer away from the place, thought about his next steps. He knows that most of the raids end with the killing of the assaulted person. This is to prevent the chance of revenge, and so the police don't know that a group of criminals attacked Pokemon trainers. When a pair of regular trainers disappear into the mountain chain of Mt. Moon, the police won't think much. Everyday trainers disappear somewhere, so that's not surprising. As long as the number is not very high, the police will not investigate. Of course, when a trainer with a high position goes missing, it's a different matter. Alex, who knew that this group must have kidnapped people and probably killed them, seethed with rage. Alex, who has always been a person who believes in revenge, didn't want this attempted attack to go unpunished. The problem was that this group was too strong in a fair fight. Though, it was not fair from the start since it was one person fighting against a group. When thinking about how to kill this group in the best manner, he noticed that it was slowly getting dark. Alex smiled coldly at the idea that had just occurred to him. Crobat and Scizor saw Alex smile wickedly and began to smile like that too. Of Alex's Pokemon, Ralts is by far the most popular Pokemon. Crobat and Scizor saw how Ralts got almost killed, probably badly injured, in this explosion and felt an indescribable hatred for this group. Ralts felt the feelings of her father and the two big brothers. She saw their expression and felt sympathy for this group of 5 people. She tried to persuade these 3 vengeance demons but was just ignored. She looked at Ditto for help, but Ditto disappointed her by agreeing to Alex, Crobat, and Scizor's revenge plan. Ralts felt helpless as only she and Shieldon, who was still a child, did not express themselves positively for this revenge plan. Chapter 70. During the night, Alex sat with Crobat and discussed his plan of attack. After 10 minutes, Crobat flew in the direction of the camp. This group was staying in this forest, which was perfect for the plan. Alex and his team were located 1,000 meters away from this group. The only Pokemon from this group that could discover this surprise attack at night was Zubat. Zubat can detect living beings with sound waves, which makes this Pokemon very useful to keep watch at night. Another advantage is that the stronger Zubat, Golbat, Crobat is, the greater the range of its detection is. That is also the reason why Zubat cannot see Alex and his Pokemon, but Crobat can see their group. The reason why Alex sent Crobat alone is that Crobat can change the sound waves of Zubat so that Zubat only discovers Crobat when it is very close. The reason Crobat can do this is that this Zubat is much weaker than him. So its control with sound waves is much worse than Crobat. Crobat flew in the direction of the group without making a sound. After a few minutes, Crobat was only 20 meters away from the Zubat that was supposed to protect the group from raids during the night. Crobat knows that if he gets any closer than this, he will be discovered by Zubat, and it will warn everyone. After 5 seconds, Crobat suddenly took off at its fastest speed in the direction of Zubat. Within 1 second, Crobat flew in front of Zubat, who had just discovered him, and used Fly against Zubat. Zubat, who was 20 levels lower than Crobat, could not dodge this surprise attack and gets beheaded by Crobat's wing. Zubat did not manage to leave a warning shout and died relatively quietly. Crobat, who had fulfilled his mission, flew to Alex without making a noise. After a minute, Crobat reached Alex and told him what happened. After knowing that Crobat had successfully carried out the first step, Alex got ready for the next step. He got on Crobat's back and flew quietly in the direction of the group. When he and Crobat were 20 meters away from the 5 tents, he took Scizor, Ditto, and Ralts out of their Pokeballs and told them about their next task. Alex said quietly, "Scizor, use focus energy and agility for as long as you can. Ditto, use transform and change yourself into Crobat. Then Ditto, Crobat, and Scizor will attack these 5 tents on my command. Try to kill the people in the tents as soon as possible. Ralts, you stay with me and get ready to use teleport if necessary." All 3 Pokemon nodded and got ready to attack these people on Alex's signal. Alex knows that there is a person and a Pokemon in every tent, so he still needs a retreat plan in case something goes wrong. After seeing that these 3 Pokemon were ready, he gave them the signal with his hand. Ditto, Scizor, and Crobat all picked a tent and attacked it at the same time. After just a few seconds, Alex heard loud fighting sounds that woke other people up. Alex saw from a distance that Ditto and Crobat had managed to kill the person in the tent. Scizor failed to kill this person unnoticed and was attacked by the Pokémon in the tent. Although the Pokémon that fought Scizor was weaker than Scizor, it was strong enough to last a few minutes. The Pokémon of the killed trainers did not attack Crobat or Ditto but ran away into the forest. It looked like they don't have any positive feelings for their trainer. The two other people heard the sound and ran out of the tent with their Pokémon. The thin man learned that they were being attacked and took his Nidoking out of the Pokéball. Together with the Pokémon in his tent, a 36 bronze Fearow, he looked at the strength of the attacker. The other man also grabbed his Pokémon 24 bronze Fearow and looked around. When these two men saw that two comrades had already died and the third one was desperately fighting for his life, their first thought was to run away. The thin man looked at the two Crobat flying out of the tents and knew that these two Pokémon were about as strong as his two Pokémon. Together with his two subordinates, he was sure that he can win this fight. He said aloud, "Peter, follow me. We'll go and save Steven." Peter followed the command and walked in the direction of the tent Scizor was attacking. Alex saw that his Pokémon were in danger as they would have to fight against so many Pokémon. He shouted, "Retreat! Come back to me!" All Pokémon of Alex ran towards Alex without thinking anything else. The thin man saw that the attacker wanted to flee but did nothing. The Pokémon from this attacker was about as powerful as his Nidoking. He doubted that he could stop these Pokémon from running, especially when these three Pokémon were so fast. He went to Steven's damaged tent and saw how he was doing. Steven was sitting on the floor with a wound on his upper body. Although the wound wasn't very deep, Steven was still bleeding a lot. Steven's two Pokémon also had injuries on the body that were not easy to heal. These two Pokémon would not have lasted long if they hadn't come so soon. The thin man saw how much damage Steven had suffered in a short time and said, "That bastard got us. We only have 6 Pokémon left to fight, and we have no Pokémon that can teleport us away or warns us in the dark. We have no chance against 2 Crobat in the darkness. Our light sources are not large enough to be able to fight sensibly. We have to get out of here as soon as possible." Steven said timidly, "Yes, sir, but if we go into the forest at night, we will definitely be attacked by that bastard. Only in this camp, we have enough light sources to keep us safe. How about we stay here?" The thin man looked at Steven as if he is an idiot and said, "Are you stupid?" The attacker also knows that the light sources are our only protection against him. "Do you think we can defend these light sources all night? We have to get out of here as soon as possible." "Don't worry, I have a plan. We will ride our flight Pokémon and fly over the forest in the direction of the city." Steven, seeing the hope to survive, happily said, "Sir, you are a genius. If we do that, we can all survive." The thin man said with a sarcastic smile, "Oh, really? How great. But this plan has one major disadvantage. The problem is that the 2 Crobats can easily defeat our 3 flight Pokémon in the dark. That means that we have to split up to survive. Everyone will fly on different paths and hope that they are not the one to be selected as a target by the attacker. If we do that, they can only kill one person, and the other 2 can flee." After a few seconds, the 3 men all stepped on their flight Pokémon without a word and began to pray that they would not be selected.